Welcome to Tech for Novice, your channel dedicated to technology-related information in simple language. Today we are going to explore how to set up a Wi-Fi router so that we can set up our routers without outside help. Router is the main component of home network. A novice user may feel configuring a router complicated, especially if it is the first encounter. Each router is different, but the basics are pretty much the same. Once you are familiar with basic concepts, you will have confidence to set up any router. It is not necessary to understand some of the concepts included in this video, but they are good to know. Please refer to my last video to understand basic home network structure. Router is the heart of the network, which should be set up properly for performance and protection of the information and connected devices. A typical router has power port, internet or WAN port, LAN ports, and status indication LEDs. LAN and WAN ports have standard RJ45 sockets. Routers with built-in modem called combo routers may not have one port. Smart device Wi-Fi router apps could be convenient tools for Wi-Fi network management, though they limited features. What we need for router setup is a pair of Ethernet cables for connecting router with modem and computer. Basic requirement for computer is either Ethernet port or Wi-Fi adapter. Installed TCP, IP service, and web browser. Internet connection information from ISP. Check router label for default IP address, login ID, SSID, and passwords. If router label has no default IP address, web interface password, and Wi-Fi connection information, then you may search on the internet. You may also try the list included here. We need to connect router with a PC with LAN cable or Wi-Fi to access router web interface. Connect router WAN port and modem Ethernet port with LAN cable. Turn on modem, wait couple of minutes, and turn on router. Connect PC and router LAN port with an Ethernet cable and switch on PC. Disconnect LAN cable connecting router and PC. Find the SSID and Wi-Fi password printed on the router label or search for default SSID and password on the internet. Click network icon of your PC. Click button next to wireless icon and select SSID of the router. And enter Wi-Fi password. If your router and PC both support WPS or Wi-Fi protected setup, then you can connect PC with router without using SSID and password. WPS is convenient, but it could be security risk. Suggest to disable WPS after initial setup. Start with router first. Press WPS button, and within 2 minutes press WPS button on PC and follow instructions. If the router is connected with PC, then we can use web browser to access web interface. Launch a web browser from the computer connected to the router and enter router, default IP address or URL in the address bar. If router is connected, then login page is displayed. Use wired connection for Wi-Fi settings to avoid disconnection when new Wi-Fi settings take effect. If login page is not displayed after entering router IP address, then check if IP address or URL entered in browser is correct. Check connections and LED status referring to router manual to make sure router is in normal operating mode. If still no connection, then set TCP IP protocol to automatic mode on your PC. Go to settings/network and internet, Ethernet, IP assignment, and edit DHCP setting to change to automatic if it is in manual mode. Try again after restarting router and PC. You may also try with another browser. If all of those methods fail, then reset router. If privacy error blocks access to router web interface, then click Advanced. Ignore security certificate warning message and click Continue, though it displays unsafe warning. Login page should appear now. Sometimes router is connected with PC but IP address is unknown. You may check router IP address in PC settings. Go to Settings, Network and Internet and select Connected Network, Wi-Fi or Ethernet. Click Properties and check IPv4 Default Gateway, which is the router internal IP address. Alternatively, you may use Windows command. In Start menu search box, type CMD and click Command Prompt. In command window, enter command ipconfig. Default gateway IP address is the router IP address. You may also check router IP address in mobile devices. Look for gateway or router in Wi-Fi settings. Login page is displayed after router IP address is entered in the browser address bar. If router is new or reset, then enter default username if required and default password. Use current username and password if router is already set up. If username and password is forgotten, then reset router to factory settings to use default username and password. If the router is new or is reset to factory settings, then it may direct to automatic internet setup or start general setup wizard or suggest to change login password, SSID and Wi-Fi password, or suggest to use setup mobile app or open web interface main page. Web interfaces are different for different routers brands, some quite complicated. However, no need to panic as they are basically similar, though their submenu for certain settings varies from model to model. Please click Save or Apply button to save the changes. Most of Wi-Fi routers can operate in more than one mode, such as Wi-Fi router, access point, bridge, etc. They are usually in router mode by default. You may need to change settings back to router mode or change to another mode depending on your application. Wireless router mode is usually default operation mode for Wi-Fi router, which is also default application for home network. Please note that wireless router is a router with wireless access point. It analyzes, handles, and directs network traffic and manages network devices, both wired and wireless. NAT, firewall, and DHCP server are enabled by default in router mode. Wireless access point or WAP mode allows wireless devices to connect to a wired network, typically through Wi-Fi. It is additional location broadcasting wireless signal for connected Wi-Fi router. A mesh system is combination of multiple access points with dynamic routing between each AP and router. Firewall, IP sharing, and NAT functions are disabled by default in this mode, which are managed by the router connected to it. Bridge mode bridges two networks, either through a wired or wireless connection, allowing devices on either network to communicate with each other seamlessly. Bridged networks become one unified system, even though they are located at different floors or buildings. It also called repeater mode. Firewall, IP sharing, and NAT functions are disabled by default in this mode, which are managed by the router connected to it. Many new or reset routers automatically redirect to internet connection settings during first-time setup. Some settings could be automatically detected while others need manual entry. Internet connection setting page is usually found under Advanced WAN Internet Setup. Information required for internet connection depends on connection type and ISP, and therefore you should check with them. For LAN setup, look for LAN settings page in Advanced, Network, LAN, or similar page depending on the router. You may give any name for router or keep default name. In the IP address field, enter router IP address, which is used for access to web interface. It is the default gateway for the network, a private IP address used internally. Keep the default subnet mask 255.255.255.0. You may change router IP address, keeping in mind that it remains private IP address whose format should be 192.168x.x, where x is 1 to 254. If you want to change router IP address, then limit the changes to third and fourth sections. Example: 192.168.1.1 can be changed to 192.168.100.2. DHCP is a network management protocol used to assign IP addresses automatically and other communication parameters to network devices. DHCP should be enabled for router mode. You may keep address lease time default time. It determines effective period of IP addresses assigned by DHCP server before renewing it. Number of automatic IP address or maximum number of users allowed in the network is determined by start and end IP addresses, or start address and number of allowed clients. You may keep default or change, keeping in mind that first 3 sections should be same as router IP address. Fourth section should be 1 to 254 excluding router IP address. Potential intruder doesn't need physical connection to access wireless network, making it vulnerable to hackings. Communications between router and client devices pass through open air. Anybody in router range can snoop on that communication or even gain access to the router if the wireless connection is insecure. Wireless connection security depends on security algorithms specifically designed for Wi-Fi with use of encryption and how keys are exchanged and verified. If you haven't changed wireless settings yet, then it is time to replace default or ISP-provided username and password as they are security risk. Locate wireless network settings in your router, which is usually found in sections like Wi-Fi or wireless or broadband. Look for Enable Radio, Wireless Network, etc., and enable Wi-Fi for each band by selecting Yes or Enable or as required. Service Set Identifier or SSID identifies Wi-Fi network. Enter any name you want, which can be up to 32 characters long. Each band could have unique SSID and can be made invisible by stopping broadcasting its name. Select Hide SSID or deselect SSID Broadcast to make it invisible in the list of available Wi-Fi networks. Transmission power should be set to maximum unless you want to limit the range. Password stops unauthorized access to the network to protect sensitive and personal data and restricts random person to access internet via Wi-Fi connection for malicious or illegal activities. Make the password strong by including both small and capital letters, numerals, special characters, and a bit longer to make it difficult to guess. Password is the first line of defense, but it can't stop wireless data to reach unintended devices. Wi-Fi security protocols use data encryption to make intercepted data incomprehensible to unauthorized users without a decryption key. Obviously, it is the most important part of Wi-Fi security. Common Wi-Fi security protocols are WPA3, WPA2, WPA, and WEP. WPA3 is the latest and most secured security protocol today, but many older devices don't support it. WPA2 is more secure than WPA, and many devices support it. Wi-Fi security protocols use encryption algorithms to secure data by converting it into an unreadable format without the proper key. AES and TKIP are main encryption protocols used with Wi-Fi. AES is latest and safest encryption protocol, and TKIP is older and not that secure. WPA and WPA2 can use both TKIP and AES, while WPA3 networks use AES only. WPA3 should be the first choice if all clients support it. WPA2 and WPA3 mixed mode option is second choice if both WPA2 and WPA3 devices are in the network, so that WPA3 devices will use best security and older devices will use WPA2, all using AES. Rule of thumb is don't use WPA and TIKP as they are not only security risk but also cause of Wi-Fi network slowdown. Default login credentials are usually common for certain brands and models, and therefore keeping them is equivalent to inviting intruder to access router. Once inside, intruder can take full control of the router and may use it for accessing confidential files, use internet connection for illegal purposes, and even introduce viruses. Therefore, default login credentials should be replaced as soon as possible to make unauthorized access to router harder. Locate the web interface page for login information, usually found in administration section. Most routers don't allow to change username. Change it if allowed. For us, change the password, remembering that it should be different from Wi-Fi password to make it more secure. Simple rule for strong password is a little bit long, not easy to guess, not found in dictionary, mix of different types of characters, and no personal information. Firmware is the operating system of the router, which should be kept up to date for security reasons, bug fixes, and performance improvement. You may check and upgrade firmware using mobile apps, which usually support automatic download and installation if new version is available. Locate firmware upgrade page in the web interface usually found in Administration or Maintenance or System or Utilities section. Check if new firmware is available. Click Upgrade or Install or Upload or similar for automatic upgrade, if available. Some routers provide a link to the latest firmware version or a download button. Then you need manual updates using downloaded firmware file. Backup router configuration before starting firmware upgrade so that you don't need to reconfigure from scratch if something goes wrong. Router should not be interrupted or turned off during installation to avoid firmware corruption. Sometimes manual firmware upgrade is desirable or even only option. Look for manual firmware update option and upload firmware. Firmware update process should begin immediately after file upload is completed. Router will reboot after successful installation. We need to restore router configuration after router is reset to factory default settings or something goes wrong due to hardware failure or accidental changes. It is easier to restore configuration using backed up configuration file with couple of clicks instead of reconfiguring manually from scratch. Locate router configuration file management page usually found in System Tools or Administration section. Backup settings by clicking Save or Backup button and follow Browser to save configuration file. Restore settings by clicking Upload or Restore button to upload saved configuration file. Resetting to factory default settings can be done within web interface or with hardware button. Look for Erase or Restore factory default in configuration management page and click Restore button and follow the instruction. Hardware reset button can be used even if router is malfunctioning. While router is switched on, press and hold reset button several minutes, usually until router reboots. Firmware and configuration will restore to factory versions. First, let us log in. Enter IP address of the browser and use current or default login credentials as required. Scroll down to Advanced Settings. Select Administration and check the operation mode. It is already wireless router mode and therefore no need to change here. Click System tab. Click Change for router login name to change login name. Enter current login password and new login name and click OK to confirm. Click Change for router login password to change login password. Enter current login password and new login password twice and click OK to confirm. Please note the password requirement displayed here. Router reboots. Now enter the new login credentials. Go back to Administration, System tab to check if other changes are required. Change time zone if required. You may change NTP or Network Time Protocol server used to synchronize router system time. Disable both Telnet and SSH protocols as they are potential security risk. Click Firmware Upgrade tab. Firmware and security updates can be set for auto update. Also can be checked if new versions are available and installed manually. Both security certificate and firmware are up to date. Click Restore, Save, Upload Setting tab. Router configuration can be backed up and restore from here. Click Save Setting for configuration backup. Select Save Location. It is blocked by Windows Security, needs to select Keep for forced saving config file. Let us restore the configuration by uploading the config file we just saved. Router will reboot to apply new configuration. Let us try to restore the router to factory settings. Please save the configuration first. Click Restore. Firmware and configuration will return to factory production version. Now Wi-Fi settings. Go to Advanced Setting Wireless Section General tab. Let us change the SSID from test_5G to test2_5G. Enable Wi-Fi 6 functions if required. Select the best possible security and encryption protocols. Lower the protection if some network devices are not supported. Let us change the Wi-Fi password. Settings for 2.4 GHz band is similar. Click Apply button after changes are done. Open WPS tab and disable WPS. Click Professional tab. Disabling radio means stopping Wi-Fi functions. Transmission power and region of router in use can be set here. Click Apply to save the settings. Select Advanced Settings, LAN and LAN IP tab. Router private IP address and subnet mask can be changed here. Keep the subnet mask default setting and change only last two sections of IP address if desired. Open DHCP Server tab. DHCP server must be enabled for router. Number of network devices allowed in the network can be controlled by changing the starting and ending IP address range. In this example, maximum 24 devices are allowed in the network. Apply the changes. For Internet settings, go Advanced Settings, WAN section, Internet Connection tab. You may try automatic settings first if ISP has not provided information for Internet connection. Keep default DNS server if you have no idea on better DNS server, which is subjective. Some routers have one or more USB ports which can be used for different applications. A flash drive or SSD can be connected for centralized storage to share among network users. Connecting a printer without LAN or Wi-Fi option will make it network printer which can be used by all network users. Some routers support USB cellular modem for internet access which can be used as backup connection, or at places wired option is not available. NAT or network address translation must be enabled for router mode. More details later. DDNS or Dynamic Domain Name Server is not required unless you want to host a server for internet access. Therefore, no need to enable in almost all home networks. NTP or Network Time Protocol is for synchronization of router system time. You may use it or synchronize with a network device. UPnP or Universal Plug and Play allows network devices to discover each other and establish network services. Significant security risks, though necessary for some applications, enable only if absolutely necessary. Telnet is a remote access protocol that allows access to router with commands. It is for advanced users. Better to disable it due to security risk from external access. NAT is a basic router function that allows to share a single internet connection with all devices in the network whose IP addresses are not exposed outside the network. Router public address is the only IP address identified in the internet. Here is NAT mechanism. Local devices can't connect to the internet without public address and therefore they send the request to the router. Request received from a local device is forwarded to the internet with some changes, such as addition of router public address and new port number related to service requested. Router creates a NAT table for recording label of received request and corresponding label of service request forwarded to internet. Response from the internet includes service request label, which can be matched with local device service request label using NAT table. Once the requesting device corresponding to the reply is determined, router sends the reply to this device. External devices cannot establish communication with devices on the local network as local IP address is not visible outside the network. Port forwarding is a networking technique that allows external devices to establish communication with devices inside a local network. With port forwarding, router is set to send incoming traffic on a specific port for specific application on a designated local device. Port forwarding is used for sharing local resources on the internet, such as web hosting on a local server. Port forwarding increases security risk due to direct exposure to the internet. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please comment, share, thumbs up, subscribe, and press the bell icon.